So yeah, volume 15 of my sketchbooks. This is the front cover. We have a whole bunch of stickers. This one actually moves. Hopefully it picks it up on the camera. But I thought that was really cool. This is the back of the cover. And then we have this cute little rabbit thing. I don't know. There's paint on it. Aww. There. Just a really cute little rabbit sticker that I found. And it was so cute. And then we have My Hero Academia, this Boston Terrier, pineapple, another moving one. Alright. So first thing we have is the front cover with the date of when I started it, which was August 20th, 2021. And we have Beetroot Greg, which is one of my characters, and then we have Cody, who's one of my characters. I made them out of ceramic clay in high school, and I just stuck them in here just because I didn't want to lose them. And then I have this speech I had to give in my speech class in college, and there's like some portraits of people who attended my class, and it was really easy for me to draw because they were all wearing masks, so I didn't have to worry about lips and stuff. They were just all covered in masks. Sketchbook rules, obviously, like, don't touch the pages too much because they could smear. Any questions are good questions. Criticism is fine, just hate is not, and I draw what I want, so. I did this without a reference and laying down with my head like right here, so it was like, it looked fine from an angle, but then like looking at it this way, it looks so bad. And then I was just bored, so I just quickly drew some random hairstyle characters and stuff like that, and I don't like them, but art is art. So this page smeared a lot, and I think it mainly was from drawing on both sides of the pages. We have googly eyes on these ones, so they move, and it's cute, I think. I did this hand without a reference, and then I used my hand as a reference for this one. Then we have Cody and Bella. Cody doesn't look exactly like that anymore. Bella kind of does look like that, so. I don't know what I was doing here. I just had a whole bunch of highlighters, so I just drew. Then we have Ashia, who is one of my characters as well. And then we have this like idea page where I was gonna do my characters in Renaissance paintings and like just like old paintings that are like really famous now. I never did. Again, planning out that section. This was my character in a different art style, but I also don't like it. And also the character changed so much that this doesn't even happen to them anymore. Then we have some new characters: Miles, Drew, Manny, and Iboog. Iboog is just part of a different series than these guys. So this series is just all about this girl who ends up in like a monster apocalypse, and this is like her friend. So I'm gonna cover this little piece here because I did not put a censor sticker there, and I don't want to make this 18 plus. But basically what's underneath my hand is a sculpture of a woman, and I think it was claimed to be the oldest sculpture there was. oldest 3D artifact. I have it written down here. But she's very much naked, and it was supposedly a doll, so I'm sure they had clothes for her to wear. But it's basically like the palm of, well, not my hand. My hand's kind of small, but like the palm of someone's hand, and like it would just rest in their hand. But it was very well detailed, and I drew it here so I wouldn't forget, because I had to know it for my one exam. And then there's like art terms that I needed to know for my exam, and this is just how I studied for it. So how's college going? And that's how I felt college was going. I gotten the hang of it now, so it's not as scary. I drew one of my characters with a whole bunch of tattoos. There's no meaning behind the tattoos. I just like doodling on the character's skin like that. So she doesn't actually have tattoos. I just got bored and gave her tattoos. Blueprints for a ceramic building for me to create ceramic stuff with. Funny story, I quit my job, and this was my last day working, and I drew these. So that was my last day. We weren't busy, and I just kind of didn't care at that point. I drew a Karen asking to see the manager, and they're a chicken. It's funny. I drew one of my characters whose name I can never remember. She was probably first. This character first arrived in like Sketchbook maybe 5. I would know by the cover of the sketchbook, not the number. I have too many. But she is just a monster person, and she's basically like a whole bunch of animals mixed together into a human, and she can turn into the animal form of herself, or she can just stay this human form. I didn't draw on the back of that page because it bled through too much. There's Cody and Bella again. I drew this on the YouTube channel I have. I redrew this, so. My Hero Academia characters. I think my favorite, I drew all of my favorite guy characters, and I drew most of my favorite girl characters. Uraka's fine, she's not my favorite. I think it's just the clinginess that she has in her style. I just don't. It just reminds me of too many people who I used to be friends with, and I just don't like it anymore. But she's a chill character. I'm not saying she's weird or anything. She's not my favorite. I think Sue might be my favorite. Sue or Mina, they might be my favorite. Jiro comes in like definite second with Momo. I'm sorry if I pronounce names wrong, but I like Todoroki. He's pretty chill, but Denki is probably one of my favorites. Denki and Kirishima and Sero, they're like my favorites. Then we have a character of mine, her name's Experiment 30. She has like 3 possible plot stories that I could write her in, and I'm still debating on which one's going to actually be canon. So the first one could be a My Hero Academia fanfic, the second one could be a Marvel self-insert, or the third one could be just her own comic where she is picked up by a whole bunch of like band members and they end up hanging out, and later on in this sketchbook she comes up with the band members, and I think that's what I'm going to go with. But I also thought about writing her as just for fun into the other ones. Then I accidentally drew Korra from Legends of Korra. So I added the water. You can tell I added it too late because some of it's like underneath this, and there's like parts of the shading that's not matched up with everything. Then we have Jasper and Chad. I don't really draw them too much. They're just kind of like a Greek mythology story I had in like 7th grade, and I just kind of stopped writing about them. But sometimes I'll write about them, and they're really cute. It's a cute story. Then we have my dog. His name is Ruger. He's super cute. If I remember to put in pictures of him, I'll put them in like right now, but he's really cute. This is, again, XP, and I was trying to figure out her love interest. Then my other puppy, Remy, I'll put her in now, too. We have anatomy practice that didn't go so well for cartoon characters. Then we have Cody, who knows how to play the violin, and I thought that was pretty cool to draw the stance that he's using to play violin. Nail polish, because I was just trying to figure out what colors looked good. My dog, right before he fell off the chair. I found this, and I just glued it in here. But then the glue fell off, as you can see, so I taped it in instead. Character dress thing that I thought about making. It basically, like, there's a veil going off this sun hat, and it looks like rain type thing. I don't know, it makes sense in my head. It was like a rainy storm based dress. I drew Alice from Alice in Wonderland, but if she was like the Queen of Hearts, so she's constantly like off with their heads type thing. And then the Cheshire Cat is just part of her outfit, which I thought was pretty cool. Art block challenges that I've done. Turning some random object into a human was one of them right here. And I turned this street sign into a character, and she's like a villain. She's called the White Knight, and she's just got the street sign as her shield, and then a sword, and then she's got like street signs as her armor, and she's just really rude. I do put censor parts into these comics that I write because I don't like having YouTube say, hey, this isn't appropriate. So basically what I have happening is this girl is really good friends with this person here, and they became a villain because she was like, she had to choose between them and someone else, and she chose someone else, so they became a villain, and they're just like having a confrontation here. And sometimes I'll write swear words in for the characters, because like obviously if it's going to be a true to high school type thing, high school uses swear words, and I can't just get away with them not swearing. So, and it's not like I don't ever want to have my characters swear, it's just, I don't know, I censor it because I don't know who's gonna go through my sketchbook or what. I drew my character's eyes. She's part dragon, so she's got this dragon eye type thing. I did that with markers and pen. I drew this, and I remember while I was drawing this, I was watching a documentary about somewhere in, like, not the United States. I know that. There was a decapitation, and it was the reason why they stopped decapitating people in public. So I remember watching that. There's Max, and then Max Jr. Max Jr. is actually a girl, but Max just was like, my name, it goes perfectly for her. So basically in my stories, female dragons leave their eggs in these lava pools, and the male dragons find them and take care of them. Again, this doesn't happen exactly the way it does for her. She just kind of gets engulfed in black ink, and then she becomes this demon instead of, like, having all of this, like, black ink evilness happen to her. I was working on an idea with hydraulics and wings and stuff like that, so I thought that would be pretty neat. I was gonna work on a dress, and it was gonna be based off Medusa, but the fabric I got doesn't work with the sewing machine I have, so I can't make it. I drew two of my characters in, like, that box scenario type thing. This is really hard to see because the next page bled through to it, but basically, like, these two characters are having an argument, and they're siblings, so. This was because I was gonna get my wisdom teeth out, and I was having a hard time sleeping because I was so worried about getting my wisdom teeth out, so I drew this to get my mind off of it type thing. I drew a spider as the pupil of someone's eye. I drew one of my characters, her name's Shay. She's a part jellyfish, so she lives in the ocean, and she teaches the underwater students at the school that I have in the series. After I got my wisdom teeth out, I had my mom hand me my sketchbook, and I was gonna draw a hand, and I thought it looked really good, but off the anesthetics, it looks really bad. I don't know what I drew here. This is so confusing. I don't understand. Then I drew Experiment 30 again, and she basically was frozen in time for a while, so now she's, like, awake, and she can see all of the technology advancements that has been made, and she's like, wow. I drew Cody and Bella again. Stickers. This character's name is Jackson. He is part bat, but he also got bit by a vampire, so he's part vampire too. I watched the first episode of this show, and I hated it, but I liked the characters, so I drew them as, like, humans. I think I drew them based off of, like, two cosplayers who were cosplaying their characters. But I don't know. I didn't like the show personally, but I'm sure people enjoyed it because there's a season 2, I guess. I drew my living room whenever it used to look like that. I drew some more characters. These two were new, but they're just villains, so they don't really show up too often. And then this is Jacqueline and Drew. Jacqueline and Drew are Cody and Bella's kids. Drew was adopted, and Jacqueline was another person carried Jacqueline for Cody and Bella. So I can't remember what that's called at the moment, but and then there's another one, Manny, who's part moth, and another person carried Manny for Cody and Bella. This character's name is Mono. She's based off of the color, I don't know if it's color theory, but she's based off the color idea of monochrome, so just using monochrome in the color wheel, basically. So she's just based off of blacks and grays and stuff like that, and she's really like punky, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm using that word right, but she was supposed to be part of the Powderpuff Girls whenever I used to make OCs based off of TV shows, but then she like turns into this character in my stories where she can create platforms, and that she's like really high up on a building right now spray painting, and that's like her superpower, is being able to create these platforms. Anytime I create some sort of weird character like this, his name's Greg automatically. I don't know why, but this is Kissy Fish Greg. This is cosplay ideas for like a deer, so like how they have the, like, that part of their legs. I decided to like figure out how that would work. Then we have a character, her name's Paige. She would be part of like the second generation of my series. And her powers is paranoia, so basically she can give people paranoia so that they are like paralyzed in fear. And she can make people hallucinate. So I drew farm animals as wearing Halloween costumes, so a pig as a zombie, this cow as a vampire, this horse as a ghost, this cow as a ghost, and then this chicken as a bat. Me and my dad driving. I don't like to drive, so he was driving, and I was just jamming out to my music. Then we have, I found this, I don't know where I found it. And then we have matches that I found, which is not probably safe to have in here, but they're really hard to get to light, so. Then we have, again, I was thinking about cosplay ideas and how to do a deer, so I was trying to work on that. I was working on an idea for a door, and how instead of having it pull out, it would just accordion. Then we have Maya, which is Max's sister, and her boyfriend Steven. List of art things I wanted to do but never did. I was babysitting. That's all that these 2 pages are, is I was babysitting. I was showing my younger cousin how to draw a gumball from Amazing World of Gumball, and it was really hard to teach him because you had to go like super slow, so that's why there's like a bump in his head. Cody and Bella again, because I'm obsessed with them. I drew my characters with different head cannons of like what they either would get hit with quirk wise type thing. I don't know, it's hard to explain. I drew a character who falls apart, kind of like shattering, and then I realized that that's an actual anime. I drew Experiment 30's band members, so basically the people who find her and hide her from the government. His name is Wilbur, his name is Camden, his name is Jack, Asher, Jordan, Vivian, and Poppy. I drew basically Pinterest random photos drew people wrestling from memory. So I was watching some people wrestle at a college that I had to go to, and I like would look up and then draw from memory of what I saw. This one was funny because they kept like hitting each other's hair. It was so funny. I drew hands. I drew my sister's coach telling her to get the rebound. This is my character. His name is Grendel. He's based off of the creature in I can't remember the name of the story, but it's Beowulf, I think, is the name of it. But I drew him based off of that, and he's just got 2 different personalities, so like 2 different people in his head. So they both are co-conscious, so they're both like around each other. It's kind of like driving. One's in the passenger seat and one's in the driver's seat, and they're constantly like either one's driving or one's in the passenger seat, but they're both like there at the same time because they were supposed to be twins, but they were conjoined, and they basically just they're conjoined twins, but they can't be separated because they only have one body. My Hero Academia characters, and then me figuring out if I should dye my hair again, which I did, and it turned green after it was purple. Cody and Bella, and then I drew, these ones are on YouTube, I think. I drew Sid and all her personalities based off of her powers. Her power caused her a dissociative identity disorder to take hold of each emotion. So basically, like, when she is no longer in control, another person will be, but because of her powers, her multiple personality disorder decided to correlate with her powers. It's hard to explain. But she does become a different person whenever she is no longer conscious. I didn't draw on the back of this. I was too afraid of ruining it. My sister drew on these, just doodles, and she gave them to me, and she told me she was just going to throw them away anyways, so I just drew on them. And this one's like a tiger, if you can look really close at it. I had art block, so I drew art block. This is whenever I got my Ahuhu markers. I don't think I said it right, but they also didn't sponsor me, so. But I really love them. They're really good. They're really good at just coloring in. This was before I learned how to blend, so it was a little messy, but it's good. And then I drew like random things that I saw behind that. I drew Cody again, but in his band. He's also in a band, by the way. Grendel again, but more like explaining what his powers do, and so his brother doesn't sleep ever because he's part demon. So he's just kind of like whenever Dell is asleep, or whenever Gren gets angry, Dell will fall asleep, and Gren will use their tail to move this leg, and this arm just can't be moved because it's Dell's movement is those legs and that arm. So basically he can just walk around and just do whatever he wants whenever Dell's asleep. I drew my character, like my self-insert into my story right here. I'm gonna make sure that this is recording still. It is! We're at 30 minutes, so there will be stuff cut out. Maybe. I drew a dream I had where it was an apocalypse, and the toxic portion of the apocalypse turned people into different, like, beings. So I got mashed with, like, DNA from a wolf, so I became a literal werewolf. And it was a zombie apocalypse, too, so we all had to survive the zombies who didn't survive the mutations. And this is Will, who was my best friend in the apocalypse. And so we converted a minivan into like a house, and this is where we would sleep, and then we would drive. And yeah, that's about it. That's where my dream ended. I did draw like them being sad and then like comforting each other. I drew them going to the different markets in the apocalypse, and then I drew them cuddling as friends. I drew this, so basically like this is the glass and then you can move it. I thought that was really cool. This is a character, his name's Fern, and he got put in prison. And he got put in prison because he knew too much about a case that he was trying to get out of prison. So they just like booked him for some random offense. And he doesn't need food to survive, but he does need sunlight, so they gave him like these artificial sunlights, which caused his powers to go whack, and he's basically growing things everywhere. Michael's just, I thought about working there. Sticky notes. I got really into the Inscription game, and I thought about making my own board game of it, but it would be so hard, and I wrote down all these notes, and they mean nothing, so I drew this from Pinterest, and then I drew Experiment 30 from different Pinterest emotion pictures, if that makes sense. I was working on a sculpture, and I had like a whole bunch of deer bones and stuff that I was gonna use. This is just Christmas wrapping that I found. I liked it because it had mermaids and Christmas trees, which was weird. Star sticky notes again. I was obsessed with them. Then we have a hand I drew with charcoal. I sprayed it with a sealant so it won't smear. My sister gave me these card things, so I just stuck them in randomly. This is like fabric I found, so I made it into a dress on this character. This is Karen. She's the opposite of a Karen, and that's why I named her Karen. And this is her, and then her husband, who, spoilers, he passed away. And then they had Daniel, and then they had Cody. Cody was a very sick child whenever he was a baby, so he was constantly like in the hospital, and then died. And then she remarried this guy named Brock, and Brock and her had a kid named Simon, and Cody did not like Simon. Daniel was like, yay, another brother. Then we have Experiment 30, which I was gonna make into a clay doll so that I could do claymation with her, but I looked up how much armatures cost after drawing this, and they cost like $90 per armature, and I was gonna need a whole bunch of armatures for the series I was gonna do, and I also don't really know how to make them blink, so that's an issue. So I decided not to do that, but this is what they would look like if they were armature characters. I've been trying to find this book for the past 3 years, and I can't find it. I won't bore you with the details because there really isn't any other than like small images that I have in my brain. Another thing that my sister gave me to add into this. Video ideas that I thought about doing, and I crossed off the ones that I've done. There were a lot, and I didn't get to all of them. Then we have Kyle Lee, who's a character of mine. Bubbles. This is Dream SMP, went to McDonald's. I saw this on Pinterest, and then I added it in the background. So, that's not mine. I did add Slimesicle just walking on the ceiling because he can. There's Dream and George in the play area. I think that's Quackity up there. There's Sapnap, Tommy, and Wilbur. And then, of course, Tubbo and Rambo. Then we have line art that I did, which I thought was pretty cool, but it smeared a little bit. Then we did watercolors with these like chalky watercolors that I got when I was like really young. And they still work, so I always use them. This page was just kind of like a smear paint on it page, and then I put a canvas in it, so this is like really thick. And it's got like these swirls that I added in because I didn't like what I did on the canvas. So I covered the canvas and then I just did swirls. Tape and stuff. This was me in my speech class, my first day of speech class, and nobody sat by me. And then my sister sat by me, and then she made friends and she moved away. I drew this from just memory type thing, and it was really dark out, and I didn't know what I was drawing, and I think I started with like anime style, and then I started realism, and then I just like it was crazy. I found this in my laundry. I don't know who Casey is, but you know, I don't know. So I drew a character whose name is Casey, and she's evil because I don't know where I got that. There's Cody and Bella, and Ashia and Kaya, and there was this really cool quote, and I can't remember who said it, but it was how wonderful it is that we laugh because our bodies cannot contain the joy. And so I drew them laughing, and then Ashia is of course taking photos, and she goes, "I'm taking pre-wedding photos." It's something. I drew Ashia in a different art style. I don't know how much I like it. It's cute, but I definitely couldn't draw it all the time. Then I drew the webcomic boyfriends. I drew them in my style, so as like magic people and stuff like that. So Prep just has magic powers. Nerd is a Cyclops person. He's got a third eye. Goth is part cat, and Jock is part dog. I drew this character. He's like this spider character, but he also has like a little bit of starfish genetics in him, so his limbs grow back whenever they get taken off, and so that's his dad used him to sell body parts on the black market. Then I drew Grendel. I drew River's dad, this character's dad. I drew him, and this is Casey, who turns out to be the mom. And she's part praying mantis, and he is part spider. And then I drew the Apocalypse characters again, because I saw that page, and I was like, yeah, let's draw them again. This guy is a villain in my stories. His name's Spore. He's literally a mushroom man whose chest cavity can open up and spores can fly out. He's in prison. So I drew Grendel and so this guy's going to be a hero, and whenever there's seniors in the school, they have to reform a villain who is like a low-level villain. So I drew Dakota and Grendel just like fighting almost. And it just goes onto this page. I drew some ships that I have in my ships and headcanons that I have for my characters. So this is a headcanon where this character likes to cuddle and this character doesn't like physical contact, so they're just if that makes sense. And then there's Kaya turning evil, and there's Daniel, Adam, and Dakota. There's Chuck, who can turn anything he touches with his bare hands into a chicken for a set amount of time. The smaller the object, the longer they're a chicken. So he accidentally turned his phone into a chicken. I drew Cody with that flower disease, and then Bella just being like, hey, we need to help you. I used these, so they're no longer useful, so I just put them in here. I found these in my wallet, and then I made this pin, and it started chipping, so I just taped it all in here. I drew Kaya in her demon form. These are headcanons I had if Cody and Bella were actually, like, female, and they actually could carry their children. I drew this guy from Pinterest and this girl from Pinterest, and behold, I used only highlighters and a fine point pen, which is true. I only had around 100 pages left. These stickers, they move, but I don't want to figure out how they move because I put them in the wrong ways. I found this, and it's kind of like you just stick it on and then you like scrape it on. It was cool, but it's like still sticky, which is the bad part. I drew myself talking about my day at school. People playing basketball. I drew my character behind some notes because I thought that was really cool looking, and I just wrote random crap on this page. I drew a FNAF character, but I didn't like it, so it's not gonna become anything. I drew this, and I actually made an entire, like an actual painting of that. Again, another sticky thing. Things I wanted to do, but I never did. Some plot ideas for my characters. And again, describing how Sid's mind works with her multiple personality disorder. Kaya becoming the demon portion. Grendel, and if they were in separate bodies, and then Maggie and Demon Girl, which they're in the villain recovery program. I don't know what this is, so I drew faces on sticky notes. I drew Experiment 30 in a tub, and I put nail polish there to make it look like it's actually water, and it was clear with nail polish. I drew this the night before, and then I redrew it on this page as an actual comic. Basically, Grendel and Grendel split, and they became two different entities, and Gren didn't enjoy it because he enjoyed having Del right next to him. I drew Jinx from Arcane, and I like it. It was in my style, so I thought it was really cool. Censored because, again, I don't want YouTube to be like, hey. But this was supposed to be like a, I don't know, flower plant. I found it on Pinterest and I thought it was really cool. I found these little felt bugs, and I thought they were really cute, so I put them in another sticky thing. This is an apocalypse story that I have where this character, she has a bionic leg. This is actually a dream I had too, so these two characters are pretty chill. This character got bit by a zombie and they're trying to find a cure for her. Yeah. I do these little bears, and these are like forms that they can turn into, and then the bunnies can turn into these forms. So basically, like, if you make them mad, they can change into these creepy characters. I found out what a zoetrope is, and I thought it was really cool. So it's just it's an animation, and then you spin it, and then you put a light source in it, and it creates an animation on the wall. I thought that was pretty cool. I drew just a random person in like 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. I can't remember. There's this bird who could pick me up, and so I will never go to, I think it was Australia. I will never go to Australia because this bird can literally pick me up and take me away because of its wingspan and the weight it can carry. This is Manny. This is Cody and Bella's kid. They can actually switch their genders based on like what they want to be that day. So basically, they just have to make a cocoon, and they just molt in the cocoon. It's hard to explain, but it makes sense in my head. There's Carmen, which is a character in my stories, and this is like the way like the camera angle would be on her. Experiment 30, and just her character design changed a little bit. I added feathers because she's also part bird. I didn't know how to she's part bat, but she's also part bird. And I only had these like talon things, like the thumbs for bats on her wings, so I added the bat wings inside. I don't know. They might stay, they might not. This character I drew, she's basically a Spider-Man OC type thing, but she doesn't have any spider powers. She just has all these gizmo and gadgets, and she's got a Venom character who helps her out sometimes. Jasper, and then I got bored. This is Mikey, another clay thing I made. I found this, I don't know what it is. I thought it was cute, but kind of ugly at the same time. I went to the Vincent van Gogh exhibit, and it was pretty cool. I drew Komodo and Skeeter. His name's actually Michael, but he's part mosquito, so I call him Skeeter. And they're a couple, so I just drew them together. I drew hands, because I was bored. I drew Ashia and a cow, because she's like obsessed with cows. And then I just put random things in there, because I like the color yellow, so. This character's name is Bear. He's also a pin I made. I drew my grandpa. I drew Cody in like the idea form that I had, and then what he actually looks like now. And then I drew Bella on this page when he was first drawn, and then I drew him what he is now, so he's less cringy. I drew people having their character breaks. Spider-Man. I found this on Pinterest and I just added the Y. I drew Denki, but I couldn't finish his face in time, so I just drew Denki on his face. This is a character of mine. She's a imaginary character of one of the characters, but she's actually just a ghost, so she's like an imaginary character. And she keeps having these dreams about finding where she's like buried and stuff like that. Then I drew Bella and Cody on their last tour. I drew Charlie from Heartstopper, which this one took 30 to 45 minutes to draw. I would just like to say. I like yellow. I'm obsessed with the color yellow, and I found this, so I put an entire page of yellow because I like it. Two characters of mine. His name is Jake, and her name starts with an A, but I can't remember what it is. I want to say Azar, but it's not Azar. Maybe Allie. I don't know. Then I drew me with my Halloween costume, and I thought about changing what my Halloween costume was last year, which was Spider-Man, and I thought about adding like Venom all over it. I don't know. I thought this was really funny. It just says no comment. I thought it was funny. This was just my final for speech class, and I was just drawing out what I was supposed to do. I found paint someone was using, and I asked them, hey, are you gonna rinse that off? And they were like, yeah, but you can use it if you want. So I used the rest of it so they didn't have to waste paint, and then I drew that. I drew Chad and Jasper and Luna, which are the Greek mythology characters. This was a mess page. My sister came to college with me, and she's in high school, and she just kind of was bored, so I said, hey, draw on this page, and she asked me what Dream and George would look like in my style, so I drew them as little blob people. Cosplay ideas that I thought about doing. I definitely want to cosplay Aerie because I'm small, and I thought it would be really funny. Experiment 30 in her test tube before this guy, Wilbur, opened the test tube. Again, character looking for, like, this is the characters from the comic earlier in the sketchbook. Again, another sticky thing. I drew Puppy Cat from Being Puppy Cat saying pick up my groceries, peasant, because I thought that scene was hilarious. I drew characters and like their notes of what they are and stuff like that. This one's really hard to see, but it's basically just like me plotting where the characters go in the series. So like these ones are in 12th grade and these ones are in 7th grade, and then the rest are just like in between. I drew my old character Beth and what she looks like now, and there's a lot of improvement there. I drew shading. Basically if you had a small ball here and a big ball here, and then you like how the light would hit it. And then I drew space because I got bored. I drew me floating because I had a dream where I could float, but it was like swimming through the air, so it was like really hard. I don't know. I drew Nick and Charlie from Heartstopper in my style. This is Stephanie and her child in the zombie apocalypse. I drew things that were smaller than my thumb. A ladybug, a tiny marble, a blueberry, used eraser, and I don't know, another thing. So I just added this in to create another page because I was bored. I added these in because I was bored and I was waiting for something else to dry, so I just glued those in. And then I drew a dynamic pose where this part is closer to the camera than her head, so it looks bigger, but it's actually not, if that makes sense. I found this, so I glued it in, and then I said keep the ocean clean, because keep the ocean clean. I drew my character with dyed wings, so like instead of dyed hair, they dyed their wings a different color. I drew Dobby from My Hero Academia. I drew 2 characters from my zombie series. Jasper and Chad, again, I'm starting to like draw them more. And then I drew Steven from Steven Universe. I used watercolors on that. I drew Charlie and Nick from Heartstopper, and then the final page. And I drew myself stretching because I was done with it. And I think it took like around 8 months to do it. So I started it in August and I ended it in May. So I'm done. This page is just a whole bunch of calculations and stuff. So yay! All done. So I'm starting volume 16 and it's going good so far. And I'm already probably an hour long video to edit, so I apologize.